Mr. Takano. Mr. Takano, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My questions are for Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, as you described in your written testimony, you previously managed a sheltered workshop that employed people who were blind, but it successfully transitioned virtually all of these workers into competitive integrated employment. Can you tell the committee what the key factors or practices that helped these individuals transition to competitive integrated employment?
Sure. The key factor was in my paradigm shift. I was looking at them, even though I was a blind person, society made me feel like I was an exception because I was doing other things that other blind people were not. And I'm not the exception, only because the systems in place make it the exception and not the rule. But I saw them as individuals, handicapped individuals, less fortunate than me. But once I realized that they were just people with disabilities with the same rights and aspirations that I had, and I got access to the tools that the National Federation of the Blind provided with respect to work incentives for Social Security, different alternative job modifications and strategies. Again, I didn't know all of this. I was operating from a limited knowledge. Once I started implementing those and then empowering them, because the other thing I had to do was take an institutionalized group of people who had been in that workshop for years, who had made that comfortable for them, and that was what they did day to day, recognize that there was another alternative, and to give them a real understanding of what that opportunity consisted of, that it wasn't just wonderful, but with a lot of work, it could create a better outcome for them. So working collaboratively on myself and implementing the strategies to work with the consumers, we were able to get those individuals competitively employed. And I must say that was done in, I guess I would at this point say haphazard, because the Transformation Act itself really prescribes what should have been done. And if we would have had the funding through the grants and the technical assistance that's provided, I would have been able to do a much better job.
Well, Mr. Lewis, what were the practices? Can you just sort of enumerate the practices that help these individuals?
Yes. So one of the things that was just mentioned was the term non-work. So yeah, we bought into the fact that they were earning some money and acquiring a skill set, but the skill set they were requiring were how to fold and stuff envelopes. And that wasn't going to be a gainful opportunity for them to be employed. So what we did was we had them participate in non-work. And I'll just offer this as an understanding. I participated in non-work. It was called college. I didn't get paid. As a matter of fact, I got in debt as opposed to it. I wasn't paid for it, but it allowed me to acquire a skill set and the knowledge to become competitively employed. So that's what we did. We stopped paying them some minimum wage for doing work that wasn't leading to a successful outcome, and using that time through our nonprofit status to raise money, capitalizing on other public programs that paid for this type of assistance, and provided them actual training in a skill that resulted in competitive integrated employment. So non-work is not a bad thing. Non-work is what we all participate in as we acquire skill set and talent to become employed.
So really what you mean by non-work was training that led to some sort of skill that would lead them to employment, full employment, not sub-minimum wage employment.
Exactly.
So really what we call non-work is really some sort of training or broader education.
If we do it right, again, if individuals who aren't really vested in a successful outcome, yeah, their answer is going to be, well, if we can't pay them some minimum wage, well, I guess we'll just let them sit there. And like the other witness said, playing games. Of course, they're having fun, and many parents think that's great because their kids are doing something, but they truly don't recognize that there is an alternative that leads to a better outcome for their children. I also referenced a conversation I had with a parent of a child with significant disability, who I know through my experience, I would have been able to help them obtain competitive integrated employment. But because she had been told by professionals year after year after year that the best her son could do is work in that workshop.
Mr. Lewis, with the time I'm remaining, that one example of the intellectual disability, that one person, what competitive work did they obtain?
She told me, and it was really just interesting. Again, I didn't get to work with him because she didn't want to work with me. But she, in her discussion with me, told me that in the times when he wasn't at the shelter workshop, he actually worked at their local church. And she described him doing a variety of different custodial jobs that's a no-brainer. I wouldn't want to relegate him to just doing that, but I knew at a minimum that floor was he could have obtained a competitive wage in any other environment doing custodial work.
All right, well, thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.